Hello, my name is Sabrina. Today we're going to go over chapter 36, and it is about the transport and vascular plants. Plants have evolved, and the number of plants have increased, leading to plants into a competition with each other for light, water, and nutrients. Taller plants with broad, flat appendages have more of an advantage in absorbing light versus smaller plants, and the increases surface area, which has resulted in increased evaporation, so the need for the water increases. Larger shoots also require stronger anchorage, and the bigger shoots further separates the top of the photosynthetic shoot from the non-photosynthetic parts below the ground, and in the favored plants are capable of efficient long-distance transport of water, nutrients, and products of photosynthesis. Negative pressure pulls water and minerals up from the roots through evaporation. Positive pressure pushes sugars from the plants that are stored and moves them to where they are needed. The xylem transports water and minerals from the roots to shoots. The phloem transports products of the photosynthesis from where they are made and stored to where they are needed. Stems are supporting structures for leaves and serves as a transport for water and nutrients. Plants that grow tall avoid shading from the neighboring plants. Most tall plants require thicker stems, which enables greater vascular flow to and from the leaves, and they provide stronger support, except for vines. That is the exception. They rely on other objects to support the stems, and like in woody plants, stems become thicker through the secondary growth. Branching generally enables plants to harvest sunlight for photosynthesis more effectively. Plants only have so much energy that they can devote to the shoot growth. If most of the energy goes into the branching, there is less available for growing tall, and the risk of being shaded by taller plants increases. So don't be short. A higher leaf area will not always increase the amount of photosynthesis. This is because the plant has less leaves. The more sunlight the plant will get. However, if there are too many leaves, there will be excess shading, and the bottom leaves do not get the sunlight they need to survive. This is because all the other plant leaves are on top of them, and they're not able to get the sun and the nutrients and less water, and they're all having to fight. So a higher leaf area will not always increase the amount of photosynthesis. This is because the plant has less leaves. The more sunlight the plant will get. However, if there are too many leaves, there will be excess shading, and the bottom leaves do not get the sunlight they need to survive. Plants features that reduce the light capture are useful measurement in the leaf area. The ratio of the total number of leaf surface area in the entire crop divided by the surface area of the land of the plant grows. Leaf area index value at 7 are common for many mature crops. There is little agricultural benefit to the leaf area index higher than a 7, and it adds more leaves and increases shading of lower leaves to the point that self-pruning occurs. The arrangement of leaves on the stem, known as the phyllotaxy, is an agricultural feature important in light capture. Phyllotaxy is determined by the shoot apical meristem. Vascular plants have specialized functions to receive and distribute nutrients by using specialized cells and physiological processes during photosynthesis. The leaves, they are known to be the primary light captures to absorb light for energy. Stems are known as the supporting structure of the leaves, as they are the passageway to transport water and nutrients to the leaves and the roots, and that keeps the plant holding on strong. Depending on the size of the root depends on how big the stem will be. Branching helps the plants conserve the sunlight for photosynthesis. The bigger the flow of transport, the bigger the plant will be. Makes sense. Vascular plants are the only ones that they are only able to devote so much energy into the shoot growth process. And most of it goes into the branching process, which influences tree growth. Just as carbon dioxide and sunlight are resources exploited by the shoot system, soil contains resources that are mined by the root system. Plants rapidly adjust their agriculture and their physiologically of their roots to expose patches of available nutrients in the soil. The roots of many plants respond to pockets on low nitrate availability in the soil by extending straight through the pockets instead of branching within them. Conversely, when encountering a pocket rich in nitrate, a root will often branch extensively there. Root cells are also to respond to high soil nitrate levels by synthesizing more proteins involved in the nitrate transport and the assimilation. Not only does the plant devote more of the mass to exploiting a nitrate-rich patch, but also absorbs nitrate more efficiently. The efficient absorption of limited nutrients is enhanced by reproduction of the competition with the root system. Plant roots also mutually beneficial in relationship microorganisms that enable the plant to exploit soil resources more efficiently. Two major pathways of the transport are the opioplast and the symplast. The opioplast consists of everything external to the plasma membranes of living cells and includes cell walls, extracellular spaces, and the inferior of dead cells such as the vessel elements and trichids. The symplast consists of the entire mass of the cytosol of all the living cells in the plant, as well as the plasmadermata and the cytoplasmic channels that interconnect them. In the opioplastic route, water and solutes move along during the cell walls of the extracellular places. In the symplastic route, water and solutes move along of cytosol. The root requires substance to cross the plasma membrane once, and when they first enter the plant, after entering one cell, substances can move from cell to cell, and this is through plasmadermata. And then the transmembrane route, water and solutes moved out of one cell, across the cell wall, and into the neighboring cell, which may pass into the next cell in the same way. The transmembrane route requires repeated crossing of plasma membranes as the substance exits one cell and enters the next. These three routes are mutually exclusive, and some substance may be more than one route verifying degrees. Diffusion is an effective transport mechanism over the spatial scales typically found at the cellular level. However, diffusion is much too slow in the functioning of long-distance transport within a plant. Although diffusion from one end of the cell takes just seconds, diffusion from the roots to the top of the giant redwood would take several centuries. Instead, long-distance transport occurs through bulk flow, the movement of liquid in response to a pressure gradient. Long-distance bulk flow occurs specialized cells into the vascular tissues, called the tracheids, and the vessel elements of the xylem and the seed tube elements of the phloem. In leaves, the veins ensure that no cell is more than just a few cells away from vascular tissue. Although all living plant cells absorb nutrients across the plasma membrane, the cells near the tips of the root are particularly important because most absorption of the water and the minerals, it occurs there. In the region, the epidermal cells are permeable to water, and many are differentiated into the roots. Modified cells that account too much for absorption of water by the roots. The root hairs absorb the soil solution, which consists of water molecules and dissolved mineral ions that are not bound tightly to the soil particles. The soil solution is drawn into the molecules and dissolved into mineral ions that are not bound tightly into soil particles. The soil solution is drawn into the hydrophilic walls of the epidermal cells, and it passes freely along the cells and the extracellular spaces into the root cortex. This flow enhances the exposure of cells of the cortex to the soil solution. This provides a much greater membrane surface area for absorption and the surface area of the epidermis alone. Although the soil moisture is greater, although the soil solution, it usually has a low mineral concentration. Active transport enables roots to accumulate extensive minerals such as K+, to the concentration hundreds of times greater than the soil. Water and minerals that pass from the soil into the root cortex cannot be transported to the rest of the plant until they enter the xylem of the vascular cylinder, the stilk. The endodermis, the innermost layer of the cells, is the root cortex. Function as the last checkpoint of the selective passage of minerals from the cortex into the vascular cylinder. Minerals already in the symplast, when they reach the epidermis through the plastodermata of the epidermal cells, and pass into minerals already in the symplast, when they reach the epidermis, continue through the plasmadermata of the endodermal cells, and they pass into the vascular cylinder. These minerals were screened by the plasma membrane that they had to cross to enter the symplast into the epidermis or the cortex. Minerals that reach the epidermis via the apoplast encounter a dead end that blocks their passage into the vascular cylinder. This barrier is located in the transverse radial walls of each intradermal cell, and it's from the Casparian strip, a belt that's made of the cerebrum of a waxy material to water dissolved minerals. And that's what helps break them down and to go place to place. Minerals that are already in the symplast reach the epidermis. They continue on into the plasmadermata of the intradermal cells, and they pass into the vascular cylinders. But the ones that were already screened by the plasma membrane had to enter the symplast to get into the cortex, but some of them reach the endodermis, and they end up getting blocked in the vascular cylinder, and that means they're not able to get out anymore unless they have that strip's help to get through. Thank you. I hope you guys have a great day.